the Illinois Indiana game, I think easily, even though they're playing the defending national champions only a few weeks later, I think this is easily the biggest game of the year for Illinois. And OSU is really the only other game you could make an argument for, but just because of the rivalry, and I think Indiana's a little in a similar situation to Illinois, not only because they're a Big Ten program not usually thought of for football that is now on the rise in football, but also just the year that they had too last year, right? And the local rivalry is just much stronger with Indiana. Plus, that's a road game. I think you're going to be able to prove a lot more. Jackson Johnson, thanks for the shout out. Appreciate it. He will be on the stream with me tomorrow as well. Do check that out. But yeah, no, I think this is easily the biggest game of the year, right? A road win at Indiana is going to look almost as good as a home win against Ohio State would, in my opinion. Road wins in college football just mean the world. So that will be on September 20th. The time is still not determined. If that is not prime time, I will eat a chair. I don't know how College Game Day wouldn't go there. You're absolutely right, Peter. I haven't even looked at the other matchups for the week, but I don't know where else they would go. This is huge stuff. And I would really think with two Big Ten programs on the rise that the NCAA and all the networks would really want to promote the hell out of this one. So Indiana's schedule before they meet Illinois is kind of a cupcake schedule, which is what a lot of people accuse them of having last year. But I mean, I don't fully buy that argument. I understand that they didn't have a ranked win last year, but I mean, Illinois we've talked about the Illinois schedule from day one on this channel back in February. Illinois doesn't have a hard schedule this year. That's to no fault of their own. And Indiana shouldn't have had a hard schedule last year. What were they? I have it in my notes for later. They were 3-9 last year. So there's absolutely no reason why they would have a hard schedule, right? It was just a good circumstance. You can't fault a team for that. This is a good team. And again, these out-of-conference matchups are usually determined before that. So I have seen some criticism about these matchups. There are 3 home games. They're playing Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, the Owls, and then they're playing Indiana State in that third game. So yeah, I can't really fault them for having a schedule like that. I don't think they anticipated that they would be coming off a college football playoff type year. I mean, I don't know exactly when these matchups were determined, but I'm pretty sure it would have been a long time ago. Jackson Johnson says that, yes, Michigan and Nebraska will be on CBS. So Indiana will, that makes sense. And Peter, what you're saying, that's exactly what I'm getting to. I really like that Indiana doesn't really have a true test before this game, and Illinois does. Check out my preview from 2 weeks ago on the week 2 matchup at Duke. That's going to be a pretty good test for the Illini, and I don't really see anything of that level from Indiana. I would even argue that Western Michigan is a better matchup than any 3 of these matchups, right? So I think that's an advantage. I'm going to be talking about the advantages, disadvantages I see towards the end of this preview, because again, this is a big one. This is going to take over half the episode for sure. But where am I going with this? I just think that's certainly an advantage that Illinois has, regardless of the scheduling of this game. I know it is very important. It could be big noon kickoff as well. You're right. I would consider that prime time, though, as long as it's a prime time game. It doesn't necessarily need to be a night game. I just want to see it get the proper attention that it deserves. As long as that happens and Illinois wins, we'll all be happy. But I am keeping a close eye on that game time. I am actually planning on attending that game myself. My brother attends Indiana, so it just, yeah, my whole family's going to try to make it to that. Head-to-head history, though. This one, a lot more details than the head-to-heads we've looked at for Illinois' non-conference schedule. Illinois and Indiana, all time, the Illini are a pretty dominant 45, 25, and 3 against Indiana. In Bloomington, however, they are 15, 16, and 3. So that would mean that they are 30-9 against them in Champaign. So most of the success has come in Champaign, but they're about 500 in Indiana, which is, again, pretty impressive to do that on the road, no matter what the reputation of Indiana's football program was until this past season. Their last meeting was in 2023. They probably, luckily for Illinois, didn't meet last year. Illinois won that crazy overtime game too. They won that 48-45. Illinois was on the rise, and Indiana was not good in 2023, but they gave us a game in Champaign. But the Illini were just able to hold them off. Kind of reminds me of last year's Purdue game. And then last time they met in Bloomington was in the year prior. It was 2022. IU won that one 23-20. So another really close game. The last time Illinois has won a game in Bloomington, you'd have to go back to 2011, October 8th. They won 41-20, pretty dominant win. Their first meeting ever, this was crazy, was on October 14th, 1899. So yeah, they have played each other in 3 different decades. Indiana won that game 5-0. What an absolute thriller that was. If that isn't exciting enough for you, again, they've been playing each other for so long that they've been able to tie a total of 3 times. All 3 of those ties, this is insane, were 0-0 ties. I just couldn't fathom if that was possible in the modern day. Like, imagine this game got all the hype and then it was a 0-0 tie. Like, no one would ever want to watch a college football game again. I can't believe the sport survived when we had 0-0 ties. Those ties were in 1900, 1911, and then 1931. So the recent history now, just looking at what Indiana has done in the past few seasons, they were 11-2 last year, 8-1 in the Big Ten, and a perfect 8-0 at home. Bloomington was a real tough place to play last year. Some of the biggest games, Western Michigan, who Illinois will see in week 1 this year, they won that game 77-3. That's just absolutely ridiculous. They also beat Nebraska 56-7. They did beat Michigan as well, which Michigan did end up turning it around towards the end of the season. They ended up fine. So I'd consider that a decent win, especially compared to some of the other Big Ten wins they had. This was definitely one of their better ones. They won it 20-15. That was the only win they had last year that was within a score. They only 3 games that was the only game, period, actually, that they played last year that was within a score, because when they got beat, it was by more than 1 score as well. So that's to put that in perspective of how dominant of an 11-2 season, where 10 wins by 2 scores or more. It's ridiculous. No matter who you're playing, that's ridiculous. And they were playing in the Big Ten. Bottom feeders of the Big Ten or not, they were playing in the Big Ten. Their one loss was Ohio State 38-15. Then they won at Purdue 66-0. That's not an impressive win. I just thought the score was impressive, because it is. That's crazy. And then obviously lost to Notre Dame, their second loss in the college football playoff at Notre Dame, 27-17. They were down big pretty early, and then they ended up getting the score down to 10 points. It was actually the closest of the 4 first round games of this year's new college football playoff format. But still, even to get to that point, absolutely ridiculous, right? 23, as I mentioned, they were 3-9. They were a whopping 1-8 in the Big Ten. They were 3-3 at home, so all three of their wins did come in Bloomington. But yeah, there were some rough scores in there. They needed 4 overtimes to beat Akron, 29-27. That was a home game. They lost to Michigan, 52-7. Michigan was a national champion that year, though, so they played this year's national champion a bit tougher at 38-15. Excuse me. So their only Big Ten win, that one win, which again, crazy, 1-8 and then jumped to 8-1 the following season. Absolutely ridiculous. That one win was against Wisconsin. They won 20-14. They even lost to Purdue. They lost 35-31. 22, they were 4-8. They were 3-4 at home, so finally a losing record at home. 2-7 in the Big Ten. And unfortunately, one of those two was the Illinois game I had mentioned earlier. They played in week 1, Illinois and Indiana did for some reason in 2022. So I'm not really sure why they did that. That was the last time Illinois has made the trip to Bloomington. The year before that, they were 2-10. And they were 0-9 in the Big Ten and 1-5 at home. 2020, which is the furthest we're going to go back because nothing beyond that is super relevant. They were 6-2 in that shortened season and a perfect 3-0 at home. But again, that Indiana team is a very distant memory. They have fallen off and gotten way back up in the meantime. So a crazy turnaround at Indiana last year overall. Right? Nothing else. None of their other records the prior 3 years were anything close to good. It's just ridiculous. But that's what we're going to talk about next. That's just Curt Cignetti, man. He has won everywhere he's gone. He's just produced immediate turnarounds, which, again, is why I don't think it's a scheduling fluke. That was his first year at Indiana. It was absolutely awesome for everyone involved. As much as I want Illinois to beat Indiana, I'm happy that you guys got that season last year. He's had he's been around. He's jumped around to a few different head coaching jobs, and he's just won everywhere he's gone. His first 5 years as a head coach, from 2011 to 2016, he was at IU of Pennsylvania. I had to look this up. That is Indiana University of Pennsylvania. There is a city named Indiana in Pennsylvania. That's where he was coach at. That's your fun fact for the night. It was good there. 2 years at Elon, 4 years at JMU. Then that's where he really started to gain some notoriety. And then last year at Indiana. Across those 12 years of coaching, 130-37. He's also coached a couple different NFL players as position coaches in the early 2000s. When he was at NC State, he coached Phillip Rivers. He helped recruit Russell Wilson there as well. And he coached Julio Jones while he was a wide receiver coach at Alabama. So he's got a really good track record of producing NFL talent as well. And he recently signed an 8-year extension. He's just ridiculously good, and their roster is ridiculously good too. And a big part of the turnaround is he brought a lot of his James Madison players with him to Indiana. The top players at Indiana, this is according to my brother. I asked for his help on this because I wanted to get it from the perspective of an actual Indiana student. And yes, Jackson, he would love the Indiana channel. But this is the info he gave me. And the stats definitely back it up. He said his favorite player was defensive back D'Angelo Pons. He'll be wearing number 5. He's pretty undersized, but he got second team All-America honors and first team All-Big Ten, 55 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 9 pass breakups. Then there's a pair of wide receivers you also got to look out for, which does worry me a little bit. Elijah Surratt, number 13. He's 6'2". He came from JMU along with Coach Sig. Last year had 53 receptions, just under 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. And the other one you got to look out for is number 3, Omar Cooper Jr. He hauled in 28 receptions last year, 594 yards and 7 touchdowns. The biggest stat to look at for him is that 24 of his 28 catches either went for a first down or a touchdown. So he didn't get the ball a ton, as much as most superstar wide receivers do. But when he did, it was very impactful, very meaningful. And then some players to look out for on the defensive end, along with Pons. You got a defensive lineman, Mikhail Kamara, number 6. He's another JMU import, 47 tackles, 15 of those for a loss, and 10 of them were sacks. He also had 6 QB hurries last year. And then linebacker Aiden Fisher, number 4, another JMU import. He had a whopping 118 tackles. That's crazy. 5.5 of them were for a loss. He had a sack and a half, 3 QB hurries, and 4 pass breakups. You also got to look out for their running back, flipping back to the offense and the skill positions. Kalen Black, number 8, another JMU player, 46 rushes, 251 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions as well for 6 yards. Those players are all going to be good. They have a lot of good returning players. Illinois has a lot of good returning players. That's likely going to cancel out. The big wild card for Indiana's roster this year is at the quarterback position. They lost Curtis Rourke to the NFL draft. And in his place, they have gotten Cal transfer quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Certainly a good track record in his career, right? Last season at Cal, he was 68.7% on passing, over 3,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. That's a 144.6 rating. Very good. Honestly, we just got to see how he's going to gel with this team. He'll certainly have plenty of time to figure out against those 3 kind of, that cupcake out of conference schedule. He'll certainly be able to figure it out at a slower pace. Hopefully playing a team like Illinois then really throws him off. There's definitely advantages for both teams, right? It's really, really hard to pick a winner just on paper because they're really well. They're honestly really well matched. This is going to be a fantastic game. But IU, I would say their biggest advantages that they do have over Illinois are the home field advantage. Illini fans travel really well, and they especially will because Indiana's not that far away. But that, and then also the skill positions, especially wide receiver, right? Illinois is kind of figuring out their wide receiver room. But on the contrary, Indiana has to hope that their transfer QB is able to figure out, gel with the roster. Overall, Illinois' roster has been with the program longer, even though there's JMU players that have been with Coach Sig for a while. Just being with the program, too, and having that comfort in your own home stadium, I think, is important. Illinois also has an advantage, I think, by playing Duke earlier. They're going to have a real road test before this road game, and Indiana doesn't really have a test like that. And also, Illinois was able to boast some ranked wins last year, and Indiana wasn't. Again, that's really no fault of Indiana's. They only got 2 ranked opponents, and they were literally the 2 teams that went to the national championship. That's just a tough draw, really, in my opinion. But yeah, that's all I have time for on Indiana. I could talk about this game all night, and I'm sure we'll be revisiting it come September. I'm really excited to go to this one.